Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 16. That's right. We just started box number 4 because they come in boxes of 4. I'll tell you that when I went camping, the first couple of days, I think I mentioned, I didn't get enough fiber and I didn't get enough water, primarily because when you're going on these big, long, like 8-mile hikes, you don't want to tank up with water and then have to go to the bathroom every few minutes in the woods or something like that. So I probably decided against enough water. And I realized by Wednesday that maybe my stomach was unhappy. And so that's when I really started pumping in the water. I started drinking a lot of fluids, trying to get everything back. And it seemed like it was back. And my stomach hasn't been back. In fact, it has gotten nothing but progressively worse. It's probably too much information, but a little bit on the constipation side. I tried since I've been back to get all the fiber in, get all the water in. The water is really important with this drug, primarily because this is so slowly moving from your system as I read that it kind of turns into sawdust in your gut. And so you want to get enough water flowing into the system that just keeps everything going. I think that I got off of track when I was camping. And like I said, I got better the second half of camping. And I tried really hard to get back in the swing of things. Although I had noticed my water consumption went down and I really needed to focus on that. And so now I have been, and boy, my stomach's just been really angry. It made me think about how I think a lot of my success with this drug has a lot to do with how much I control my diet, how much I don't eat very much outside of the very things I've picked to eat. I mean, I could give you my whole list, and I'm giving you some of them, right? The keto bread, apples, pears, cottage cheese. At night, I have something with either the mission carb or the keto bread, and usually some kind of form of meat. For breakfast, I have some kind of a protein and a little bit of carbs with it, but not much. And I carried that over from when I had high blood sugar, that I noticed when I have a very high protein breakfast, my blood sugar stayed pretty good throughout the day. If I ate something with a lot of carbs in it, my sugar was just trash all day long and it never recovered. So that was something I started back before I got on this drug, and I've just continued it because that high protein breakfast really fills me up. I mean, I can go a good amount of time and not feel hungry right away. When I felt like I ate other things, like let's say oatmeal with protein oatmeal, it would be good and it would be about the same amount of calories and even about the same amount of protein. It just didn't stick with me. So this meal sticks with me, and I pretty much stick around this kind of orbit of things I eat. And sometimes I change it up just a little bit. Sometimes I have eggs for dinner or lunch, a little bit different, but not too much. I kind of keep to that core food. And you know what? I realized that out of 14 weeks of having no digestive problems and then 2 weeks of having some, it's really been this very close control of how much I eat, what I eat, and the content, the protein, fiber, and water. So I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. I think it's starting to work its way back to normal again. I hope so. Like I said, my stomach's just been angry and I've been trying to get that back. I am down 0.8 pounds. Last week we had a good week. I'm just glad I'm down again. Sometimes when you have a pretty spectacular week, the next week's not great. And this is all right. It's nearly a pound. And so that puts me at 25.8 pounds lost. I also did measurements, which I hadn't done in a while. And it was really good. Around my gut, I lost the most amount of weight. My waist is down 4. My hips are down 4. My chest is down 4. My arms, calves, wrists, they're all down a small percentage of them. But honestly, like I said, I've been going to a gym trainer for a long time and they feel muscular. I mean, more muscular than other parts of my body, like my gut. So I'm losing weight less there. I can also, around my neck too. But primarily it is coming off the core of my center. And when you look at fat, it is good for it to come off of your stomach primarily. If you're a woman in particular, you have butt and thigh fat, and that is pretty stable. It is actually very hard to lose, which shows you how very stable it is. And primarily, I mentioned before that it is a reserve. What if I get pregnant? I need energy to be able to feed a child, right? And to have a child. And so for women, that's why a lot of the weight tends to go into the butt and legs. And with men, it tends to go in the gut. And in the gut, the reason it's dangerous is because it's liquidy. But the idea behind the liquid fat is I might have to go out and chase a tiger or chase a bear out of my home. And I'm going to need a quick amount of energy super fast so that I can attack a bear. We don't live in that world anymore. And so now what happens is our body doesn't understand the difference between fear of a bear or fear of my boss. So I'm sitting at work and I'm typing away and a customer's mad at me and now my boss is yelling at me and the stress levels are building up and the body doesn't recognize, I think, differences in that. And it thinks, oh no, a bear. I can feel all the signs that the stress levels are going up. And so it just starts pumping that adrenaline and that fat for energy so that you can go chase the bear. There's no bears right now. And so it's very damaging to the heart. And that is where they call like subcutaneous fat and then visceral fat. And you want to get rid of that fat that's right there at the gut because that is the most dangerous form of fat at all. And primarily why they believe that men have heart attacks more than women because most of their fat goes around that gut. So I'm glad to see that most of my weight loss is coming off from the gut. And it is a good number of inches. I blew through a couple pant sizes in that I had all the pants that I had when I lost weight the last time. And I stashed them, hoping I would lose weight again someday in this very top part of my closet that I can only get when I get a ladder out. I mean, that's how tall this is. And so I started getting all those clothes out and I started putting them in order of size so that in my closet, I have clothes that fit me now. And then I have a back row of my closet and those are all the clothes that are going to fit me next. And I am just about getting into the clothes that are going to fit me next. So I have a lot of clothes to wear. And in that very tall closet, there's a stack of jeans up there. So my goal this next weekend is to get those stacks out. Because honestly, I have gone through the jeans I used to wear. They're too big, they fall down. I am almost starting to lose the jeans that were the next size down. And so I'm wondering what else is there. Sweatpants too. My friend and I went to a farm tour. It was sort of like a farm and an art fall tour where you drive around this county and you see various things and you stop off and you buy cheese and all that. And I didn't know that we were going to take a bunch of pictures and I ended up wearing my big clothes. So my friend took a bunch of pictures of me talking to the cows and saying hi to the kitties and stuff like that. And my clothes were huge. And all through this entire tour, I was holding my pants up because they were falling down. So it is time to start investigating and start looking for smaller clothes. It's about 3 sizes of loss, which is great. I'm pretty excited about that. So I was thinking, because I went to my class reunion last week, and it was good to see people that I hadn't seen in a long time. And it's unrelated, no, but there were people that were very popular in my high school class. Very nice. I mean, I did tend to go to a very nice high school where even the very popular people were nice to the nerds like me. And starting to hear some of people's backstories. If you had asked me and my 3 other friends, how are the lives of everyone else in my high school, we would have said, well, the 4 of us are just horrible and everyone else is perfect. And you found out in my class reunion that not everyone had a perfect life. In fact, some of them had some huge struggles and you didn't know. No one goes around in high school sharing their most embarrassing stories. And so in a sense, it made me do a lot of thinking on my long drive home about, I don't know, high school and changes and regrets. And the person I was in high school, there were boys that came to that class reunion. I had a huge crush on one of them. I really liked him. And he has a great life. He got married. He has kids. He was able to retire early and really done very well for himself. But I was so bad with boys. I had so much shyness. And the other side of it, too, is that there were boys who were mean to me. And it had a lot to do with the fact that they thought fat girls were easy or fat girls don't have choices. So if I hit on you, you have to like it because what other choice do you have? I mean, you just got me, right? No one else is going after you. No one else is asking you to do anything. So what's your choice? And so it made a very bad impression on me. And I started thinking about all of this, about my weight and everything in that past. And so then I started thinking about, I don't know, regrets, I guess. Do I have regrets? do I wish I would have done something sooner? And of course I did. I mean, this is probably the fourth or fifth time where I seriously tackled my weight. And the previous times, I wasn't having a sugar problem and I wasn't having this metabolism insulin problem. And so I could lose weight. But then it's like you can be great every day of your life. And then, Christmas comes along, holidays come along, you blow it for a while, and boom, you put down all the weight you just took off. It is about consistency and being darn near perfect in consistency. And I just wasn't. And I lacked, no, guardrails. I lacked some things. And there was a book called The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin, and she at some point does this like inventory. And this is not a scientific personality test of any kind, but she noticed there are four kinds of people. One are upholders. They say, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to do specific amount of work. So I'm going to write this article. I'm going to do this podcast. I'm going to clean up my room. And they do it. They're upholders. They are obligated to themselves. They're obligated to other people. There's rebels. Rebels are people who, if you tell them to do something or they tell themselves to do something, not going to do it at all. And then there are people who are questioners, who, if they understand why you need to do something, then they are good at doing it. And I always thought that's what I was, because I'm always such a big person on research. Like, I want to know why. I want to know why this exercise works better than this exercise. I want to know why this work method is better than this other work method. But it turns out not. I am the fourth one, which is the biggest one, which is called obligers. I am fantastic when I'm obligated to another human being. So you ask me, Jill, will you come over and help me weed my garden? I'm like, of course I would, and I would do a great job of it, and I would spend all day or all weekend doing this. But when I look at my own yard, I'm not doing it. Or even weight. I will help my friends lose weight and be dedicated and not go out and eat anything bad. But what about me? No, not as dedicated to myself. And so once I learned that I really have an obligation issue with other people, I started realizing a big part of my personality is I need accountability. That is the biggest thing I needed. And so I tried Weight Watchers where I had accountability. And I thought, well, this diet is very simple. I'm going to quit and just do it on my own and not pay the money. Nope, didn't work. So what really worked for me was hiring a trainer who could hold me accountable and watch my progress. And she's good. I'll tell you, she's scary, mind-reading kinds, where when you don't do what you're supposed to do, she knows it. She just knows. So I think late in my life, I figured out what makes me tick. And it was really that book, The Four Tendencies, that helped me understand how I motivate to do almost everything. It's why I'm so good at work, because I'm obligated to people, my customers, my bosses, my team, my hospital. I'm very good at that. But then in myself, I was just not doing things, and it explained a lot to me. People will say, oh, there's nothing wrong with being overweight. It's fine. You're fine. And then I think they tend to be people who haven't had a health problem. It eventually catches up with you. I will tell you, I have been the peak of health forever. I barely catch colds. I'm never, ever sick. I never had problems other than the fact that I had this issue that caused me to have to get surgery. And that was my first downfall into health problems. But it doesn't come early. And so you think, hey, I'm really overweight, but I'm super healthy. Probably not. Yeah, I would say that some of it has to do with just at some point, the energy gets you. You lose energy. And so sometimes you think, oh, should I go for a hike this weekend? No, I think I'm just going to sit here and read a book. I'm tired. And you lose your oomph, I think, when you weigh too much. I talked about just body confidence, particularly when it comes to men and dating. I just didn't have it. I knew I was overweight. I got treated poorly by some men who just thought, well, Jill's overweight. What's she going to do? She's lucky to have me as interested in her. And it took a toll on me, I think. And so I'm trying to realize it's not like that, that I can have relationships with men without having them think of me in one way or another. Then it has to do with clothes. I never cared about clothes or fashion or what clothes I wore. As you can see, I'm kind of a big t-shirt person, so it didn't bother me. But then I think about missed opportunities. When I did my hike with my friend in England, we did a 103-mile hike. The longest day was 16 miles, and that was almost all hills. Darn near killed me, but it was great. Part of me thinks there's so many things I could have done in big, long hikes. There's that big hike in Spain. There's a lot of times where, like even in Iceland, where I killed my ankles probably because way too much. And I couldn't do some of the things I wanted to do. And so I feel like I lost opportunities to do some amazing adventures. And that's primarily what my regrets are right now. And then just now, thinking about my long-term health, right? So that's why the whole mantra this year is health, 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 health. And it's because I am concerned that did I wreck my knees already? Because I can tell my knees are a little bit more sore than they used to be. So are my knees bad now? Or when I lose the weight, are they going to be okay? My trainer seems to think that they're going to be okay-ish, that maybe there's some damage there. I've been working with her for a really long time, and she says I'm really strong and that her strengthening all these little tiny muscles, these little balance muscles, will help in keeping the tendons and the tender things safer. So she thinks I'm going to be okay. I'm a little worried that I'm going to get down to my weight and see kind of the damage that I've done to my body. Primarily, like I said, in the leg chain, the ankles, the knees, the hips, those kinds of things. And am I going to get over diabetes? Am I going to lower my cholesterol? Am I going to lower my blood pressure, which isn't terribly high, but it's still higher than someone would probably want with perfect health? Is all that going to come back in line when I lose all the weight? And we're going to find that out probably in about a year and a half or 2 years. So those kind of are the regrets I was thinking about most, is that I really missed, like I said, some of the adventure opportunities I had. I missed some of the boy and men opportunities that I might have had. And then the fact that I just now have come to the point where I started damaging my health with diabetes and some of these other things. And now we're hoping to step back off the edge on that. I'm hoping that's the case. I hope to have a full, healthy life after this drug. But next week, what we're going to talk about is what do you do when you have regrets? It's somewhat useless to have regrets or anger or negative feelings just in general, unless you're going to turn them into something positive. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. What can we do when we have regrets and we're trying to make, use of our life lessons? All right. I appreciate you listening. Remember, you can find me. I have a bunch of podcasts. You can find me at Jill McKinley or Jill from the North Woods. Start with Small Steps with God, the Bible in Small Steps. And the newest one, which is really fun, I think, is Buzz, Blossom, and Squeak, which is talking about nature. We talk about meteors and flowers and bugs and bees and animals and everything you can think about. Just not in a deep dive of science, but just how can we get to know them a little bit better? And maybe how can we see them? So I appreciate you listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com or put comments right here on the YouTube video. I appreciate all of you being out there and, good luck in whatever types of goals you're trying to achieve.